My website is robertphoenix.com. You can go there, check out the writing side of what I do, the quote-unquote literary side. Let's go to our next caller, 705. Let's find out who they are, what they want to talk about. Hey, you're on the air with Robert. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hi, Robert. My name is Sandra, and I'm calling from Ontario, Canada.
Hi, Sandra. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
What would you like to get into today, Sandra?
Well, I just wondered if I could have a little mini reading.
Okay. Let's do a quick, quote-unquote, solar chart here. When is your birthday?
July 31st to 55.
Okay. All right. So, July 31st, 55. Okay, there we go. So do you know anything about your chart at all?
Not really. No, I don't really understand it, to be honest.
So do you know what your moon sign is in?
No.
All right. I almost feel like I would need to do a solar chart for you because, natal chart, because of the moon. So you've got moon in Capricorn, but because of the natal chart, the solar chart rather, I can't really figure it out. This is all based on universal time. So likely you've got a very early degree moon in Capricorn, which means that Pluto is conjuncting your moon, which is very intense, by the way. When you have Pluto conjunct moon, and this is a cycle that goes on for a couple of years, it is the transformation of your emotions. And because you have moon in Capricorn, it would be a very, very, very profound transformation. People who have moon in Capricorn tend to be very, very adult when they're kids. They tend to be very grown up as children. And as they get older, their capacity to experience emotion gets better and better and better. I have a friend who has moon in Capricorn, and I've seen this in action. I've seen him over time. When I first met him back in 1988, he's a Leo like yourself. But when I first met him back in 1988, he was quite rigid and had a big heart, but was, very, very rigid. And now that I've known him, and he's in his 40s now, I've seen this guy open up, and his heart has really become more commensurate with his sun sign. So that's part of what you will be going through with Pluto on your moon. There's also kind of an intense reappraisal of your relationship with your mother when Pluto hits your moon. What role did your mother play in your life? Was she nurturing enough? If she wasn't nurturing enough, can you forgive her? How are you as a mom? Were you a mom? How's that impacted your life? These are all, sort of deeply, Pluto moon aspects. What's your legacy as a woman with Pluto on your moon? As you move into what we would call the crone phase or the elder phase or the sage phase, how does that affect you emotionally? Where are you with, menopause, quote unquote, change of life? That's all Pluto on the moon stuff. So these are big, big pictures, big issues that you deal with over the period of, 1, 2, 3 years as Pluto, moves across your moon. Ultimately, what we hope that comes out of that inner dialogue is a greater sense of wisdom, a deepening of your intuition. Pluto moon is also a lot about legacy and death and the afterlife and being able to become more okay with the impermanence of life. It's a very, very powerful transit, especially when it's in the sign of Capricorn. And at the end of that transit, what we have left over is kind of this radiant, shining diamond that is your emotional treasure. And that's a process you're going through right now. And at least theoretically you would be if your moon is in Capricorn. I'm assuming that it is.
I think so. It really does sound like me. What you've spoken about. I know I'm a healer, and I know part of my purpose in life is to help people to pass over and and I'm working with some elderly people right now, to help them, not going to say transition, but, that I can relate to exactly what you're saying.
Well, that's great, because it sounds to me like you're really co-creating with that transit in your life. And, one of the things about astrology that this is my belief around astrology. Astrology doesn't necessarily tell us what to do. I believe it gives us directions in how we can, pilot our vehicle through life really successfully. And you can, if you're driving your car, right, and you get on the freeway going the wrong direction, unless you're William Peterson and to live and die in L.A., that's just not going to work. You're gonna get into an accident. You're gonna make life hell for other people. To me, this is what astrology is. It's really roadmaps and signs and directions and how to pilot your craft. And if you've got Pluto on your moon, you're doing what you specifically are doing. You're really piloting your craft in a really responsible and alive and conscious fashion. So, hats off to you for that.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's sort of funny because I've been through many transitions in my life and my journey. I started out as a nurse, actually, and I think I've done about everything else, and here I am back in that nurturing kind of place where I started out as a kid, really.
Yeah.
And so
you have a lot of Leo in your chart, right? You have Sun in Leo, which we know. You also have Mercury in Leo at a very early degree, 0 degree Leo. You have Mars in Leo. You have Jupiter in Leo, and you have Pluto in Leo. So you've got a stellium of planets in Leo. And one of the things that if you've got that much Leo in your chart, right, you have to be creative. Creativity is very important to you. So you've got to stay close to that life pulse of creativity. So as you tend to people with transitions and passing and dying and all that stuff, which is the lesson with Pluto on your moon, you also have to remain or stay in touch with your creativity. What do you do to do that for yourself?
What do I do? I guess I'm just learning, honestly. Where I am in my life, I've been through so much with so many losses and whatnot. I've been searching for, where it is that I'm meant to be because, and so I'm just constantly searching.
Yeah.
And
well, let me just throw this out there to you. I don't know if this will resonate with you, but I'm wondering if there is something creative you can do with this hospice work, like maybe take photos of people with their consent, and turn these photos into really, beautiful memorials of like who they were, at that stage of their lives. I'm just throwing that out there because if you can figure out a way to stay in touch with your creativity and somehow marry it to what you're doing with your current, life path, I think it could be really rewarding. And one of the things that we have such an aversion towards is death, and and we all have our pieces around it. It's one of these things that, in a lot of ways, we have this governor that keeps us from dealing with it. And so, especially in our culture in the West, we just want to put death in a hazmat box, right? We don't even want to think about it, and we celebrate youth to the degree where it's almost perverse. And if somehow you could, dignify this experience for people, I think it could be really profound, and show people that, this is it, man. This is where we're all going, and this is what it looks like, and it's not horrific at times. In fact, there are radiant moments. And when my father was dying, I had moments with him that I would never have been able to have had he not been in that place of feeling vulnerable and weak. His ego was minuscule, and and he was a Leo too, so that was a big thing. And so people reveal themselves minus their ego in these rare, passing, vulnerable moments of their corporeal existence, and that's where I think this really shining moment of the divine can really come through. If you could capture that, so I'm not telling you that you have to, but if you could, I think it could be really unique for you.
Well, it's funny because I remember at one point in time I used to be terrified of death, thinking, oh my God, you do something wrong, like you're going to go to hell, and then it came to me. I mean, just in this past through I'm a Reiki master now.
Uh-huh.
And so with that, it's taught me, I did so much healing with it, and I now know that, death is not to be, it's a beautiful place. And my next door neighbor is very ill, and working with hospice, for instance, another friend works with them, and you can't bring up death to them. You can't bring up death to the client. Whereas when I went to see Donna, I knew that she wanted to, she wanted somebody to talk to that, could make her feel better and to tell her it's a beautiful place where you're going. I mean, and it's not anything to be afraid of. Is what I believe in my heart. So, and it's come such a long way from where I was years ago, obviously.
Yeah.
But if I could, as you say, I never really felt I was very creative, but I'm very nurturing and I'm very caring.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, to think outside of the box.
Yeah, you're going to be going through your second Saturn return starting around 2014, the end of 2013, beginning of 2014. And Saturn goes into Scorpio at the end of 2012. So, what is Scorpio? It's life and death, and it's all that scorpionic stuff. And Saturn is going to be a big player in your life, and it will be. This is something that is not going to be a passing phase for you. In fact, your second Saturn return will focus on these very same subjects and topics that we're talking about, only taking you even deeper. So you are on a profound journey, and a journey that a lot of people would be terrified of taking. But part of what you're going through is again getting your car pointed in the right direction, going down the road, and you're going down a stretch of road that a lot of people don't go down. And what's at the other side of that? Well, it could be a really cool place. I mean, how many times have you traveled down a remote stretch of highway, and all of a sudden it opens into this incredible vista, and you're just blown away by what you see? It's the road less traveled. And when you get there, there's a reason why it's the road less traveled. It's not everybody can get there, but when you do, when you arrive, you'll realize that this has been a really profound journey that you're on, and the destination's been worth it. So that's my sense for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. No, that's it's wonderful to get your feedback.
Well, that's why I'm here from 10 to 12 on Wednesdays, is to hopefully give people some constructive feedback. And it's good for me to do that too, because validates what I'm doing too. So, thank you for being on the air with us. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and have a great day.
You too. Now, bye-bye.
Bye.